Hi, this is Dr. Job Mogire from the House of Mastery. I know you have goals that you want to accomplish, great goals that you are passionate about. But here is my question. How do you know whether you are on track to accomplish those goals? I remember a couple of years ago, I was in the capital city in Kenya, wanting to travel to the rural area where my parents live. And I called home and spoke to my nephew. My nephew asked me, Uncle, how do I know that you are coming? And then but I told him, I'm coming tomorrow. It's, he told me, how? I can't believe that. I can't believe that because you haven't started the journey. I can't believe because I can't hear you in a vehicle moving or driving this direction to come see us. And it got me thinking, how many times do we convince ourselves that we are moving towards our goals, but we are not in motion? In other words, we haven't started the journey because our minds are very, very interesting, very fun. Excuse me. Our mind, our brain is funny because our brain doesn't know the difference between something that is actually happening or something that we are merely imagining, therefore experiencing just by thought alone. The electricity of thought and the electricity of experience, when it's channeled through all the nerves that transmit it to the cortex, it's experienced the same way. The signal is the same, it's just an electric signal. That's the final endpoint. And so when we, for example, at the beginning of the year, when we think about our resolutions, we stimulate the same parts of the brain which would be stimulated if we had achieved those resolutions. That's why it's very easy for us to lie to ourselves, which is why it's imperative that you and I learn the art of being brutally honest. So today I want to share with you 5 signs, and this is uncomfortable, 5 signs that you will not accomplish your goals. 5 signs that you will not accomplish your goals. Number one, like the day I spoke to my nephew and told him I would be coming tomorrow, the first sign that you won't accomplish your goals is that you are planning to start tomorrow. You're planning to start tomorrow. You're planning to start someday. And we all know that someday never comes. Because if you are putting everything off to tomorrow, including the things that you can start doing today, it means tomorrow you are starting from a position of deficit. You are starting from a late position rather than positioning yourself to be in time to have an advantage tomorrow. If you're starting to start everything tomorrow, there's a good chance that tomorrow you will plan to start the day after. And that becomes a cycle. Before we know it, a year is gone. So here is the unfortunate truth. If the goals you have, you are planning to start tomorrow, there's a good chance that you will not reach those goals. Or even if you make some progress, you won't go as far as you possibly could. So how about resolving that day? The second sign that you may not reach your goals is that you have developed a tendency of quitting too soon and quitting too often. You've developed a tendency of explaining why you quit, or justifying why you quit. If a goal is important, it is worth pushing through even when you face obstacles. If obstacles become the explanation as to why you quit, that goal probably is not as important as you have made yourself believe it is. I shared a quote recently that when you learn to quit, when quitting becomes a habit, you learn to quit at the least provocation. The actual quote is, when you learn to quit, it soon becomes a habit. When you learn to quit at the slightest obstacle, slightest difficulty, it soon becomes a habit. How many of the goals you started pursuing within the last 5 to 10 years did you end up quitting on? And what was the actual reason why you quit? Was it because you faced the obstacle, or was it because you were not totally sold out to that goal? Because these are questions we have to ask ourselves, because if we do not have solid, clear answers, then we are not being honest with ourselves, and we'll keep duping ourselves about, oh, we want to accomplish this goal. Before we know it, it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, 20 years even. And that goal is no longer as pressing because now we have finally fully given up and resigned ourselves and settled for whatever life brings our way. Here is the third sign that there's a good chance you may not accomplish the goals you want to accomplish. You are trying to succeed without changing your habits. You are trying to clinch the victory with your current routines. You're trying to clinch victory with your current mindset. You're trying to be more efficient without getting rid of the distractions you have right now. You're trying to become sharper, better thinker, greater planner without minimizing the amount of time you waste on social media, the amount of time you waste on useless and low value conversations and low value activities. You are trying to experience a new reality with your current mindset, to experience a new environment without changing your current environment. That's not going to happen. It's plain and simple. If you are trying to experience the new without letting go or transforming the old, you are playing a losing game. In which ways does this apply to you in the areas where you have desired to grow, you've desired to change? Might it be that some of your current routines, current thought patterns and tendencies are what is holding you back? The fourth sign that there's a good chance you may not, this is actually, yes, the fourth sign, you may not reach your goals. The fourth sign that there's a good chance you are lying to yourself, unfortunately, is if you talk big without following through. You declare your intentions, but you don't follow through. You say you will do it, but you don't act. Your words are 100%, your action is 2%. There is an execution gap between your intentions and your actions. Once this becomes a pattern, you become locked into the pattern, you get used to it, you label yourself as, I usually set goals and I don't necessarily follow through. It becomes part of your identity. And once it becomes part of your identity, you will start acting in a way that is consistent with the identity you have bought into yourself. If you have developed a long-standing pattern of talking about it without doing it, of declaring it without executing it, there's a good chance that you will not accomplish the goals you desire to accomplish. I don't know how this applies to you, but I want you to reflect on it. The fifth sign that you might not accomplish the goals you have been entertaining. You are relying on talent alone without developing a success mindset. You are relying on talent alone. John Maxwell wrote a book called Talent is Never Enough. And that is probably one of the most practical and insightful books I have ever read. Because the title by itself declares everything you need to know about the book. Talent is never enough. Talent requires an internal environment in which it must operate. It requires effort. It requires planning. It requires realism. It requires relationships. It requires teamwork. It requires discipline. It requires consistency. It requires preparation. It requires practice. It requires reflection. It requires self leadership. Without these other ingredients, no matter how talented you are, it's never going to work. Look at some of the very best people in the world in their field, the most talented footballers, the most talented actors, the most talented athletes, the most talented journalists. Talent is never enough. What distinguishes people is their mindset, their attitude, their work ethic, their discipline, their commitment to excellence, their commitment to continual growth. If you do not have all these other ingredients, no matter how talented you are, it's a good chance you won't reach your goals. And here is the bonus. And the bonus is probably the biggest of all of them. This is the bonus sign that there's a good chance you won't reach the goals you're trying to accomplish. You lack a clear vision. You lack a clear vision of who you are. You lack a clear vision of what your life means. You lack a clear vision of where you are going. You lack a clear vision of what kind of impact you will leave and would like to live in this world. You lack a clear vision of your place in life, in your family, in your company, in your business, in your country, in the world. Without that clarity, you're just like every other Jones and Gladys. There's nothing different about you. You lack clarity about the value you add where you go, what impact you leave wherever you go, what difference you want to make in this world. If you lack clarity, if you lack clarity of vision, clarity of purpose, clarity of values, there is a good chance that unfortunately you may not accomplish the goals you're trying to pursue. In which ways do these signs that you might not accomplish your goals apply to you? And when shall you take the mirror and hold it onto your face and tell yourself the truth and be brutally honest about the places where you are dropping the ball? Think about it. And if you found value in this video, share it with somebody and subscribe. My name is Dr. Job Mogire from the House of Mastery. I wish you the very best as you pursue your goals, but think about this truth I've just shared with you. See you in the next video. Bye.